Shalom, Ka'ala Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakol Kodash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, with the house of David reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the video we just watched. The latest news out of the land of Israel is that basically Israel has bombed Lebanon, or South Lebanon, which is basically escalating and getting us closer to Armageddon, which we're going to get to in just a bit. But let's go and read this before we go any further. This is Matthew 24:6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And that's what's happening, right? The thing is that all these little wars, they're going to continue to break out. And these are little like cinder fires right before the big fire takes place. So if you're unsure about what that video is explaining, it basically let us know that in retaliatory attacks, which is also considered, well, you can't really tell over there by the land of Israel, because Lebanon says that Israel attacked them, but the problem is that Israel says Lebanon attacked them. Either way, you can't really know this, but what's happened is that Israel has just bombed the shit out of Lebanon, okay? That's what we got to know. And that right there is basically escalating what's going on. Let's read this. It says, breaking. It looks like the war between Hezbollah and Israel has officially begun. And just so you know, Hezbollah, they're kind of like the freedom fighters of Lebanon, which really are freedom fighters for Palestine. And these guys here are basically made up of a bunch of just different Ishmaelites and in the areas, the Palestinian and, Lebanese, those people. But the big part about them is that they're backed by Iran. Okay, that's where they get their weaponry and all their, money and support from Iran, which is why Iran's always brought up when you talk about Hezbollah. So think of it like, just like how America uses ISIS, well, Iran is using Hezbollah that way, okay? So it says, Hezbollah launched a major rocket attack targeting the IDF's Northern Command headquarters in Safed, leaving at least 2 dead and 7 wounded. Fighter jets of the Israeli Air Force are now carrying out a large wave of heavy strikes in South Lebanon in response to Hezbollah's attacks on Safed. Israel also started bombing civilian places and cities like in Gaza. Hezbollah has a missile arsenal capable of striking back. So that's also what's happening. So now we're basically seeing back and forth happening with Amalek, right? When I say Amalek, I'm talking about the so-called Jews, because that's their true biblical name. See, they are Edomites, but specifically they are of the top tribe of Edom, that being the tribe of Amalek. Okay, now they're all ultimately Edomites, but you see, right now they're going to war to defend themselves there on the land that they've stolen from these guys, right? The descendants of Ishmael, right? So-called Arabs, right? Basically, Ishmael covers this whole area. So even if they say they belong in that land and they show deeds, the only reason that Palestine or Ishmael's in that land is because basically from the 1700s or late 1800s, the Ottoman Empire, right, basically owned all of the Middle East, okay? Israel, including Turkey, which is where the Ottoman Empire settled. But throughout that whole kingdom, that's where Ishmael basically thrived, okay? So all these different Arab-looking nations in that area, Syria, Palestine, even Egypt, right? The Egyptians refer to the true Egyptians that still live in that town as Nubians, okay? So like I said, Ishmael basically dots this whole area. But the point of me saying that is that just like in Palestine, or should I say Gaza, and these other nations around, Lebanon is also starting to rise up. Now, ultimately it's the freedom fighters, right, or Hezbollah, but you could tell the whole nation itself is against Israel. Okay, now this is going to lead to more fights, and just so that way you know, Lebanon is right above the nation of Israel. See, all that Gaza stuff we hear in the news is all happening down here, and this is the West Bank, which is where Amalek's going to attack next for some reason, I'm sure. And the point being is that Lebanon's up here. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because, remember, the Bible prophesies that the war is going to break out, or it's going to be gathered. All the nations of the army is going to be gathered in the valley of Jehoshaphat. And that's basically right in here. Okay, this little valley. See, here's Jerusalem, and this would be considered like the valley of Jehoshaphat. But again, this whole valley goes all the way in here, and this right here would be called like Megiddo around here, right? So this is where the Bible prophesies that the Third World War will, start from. Okay, so though right now Gaza is being slaughtered by Amalek, the real fight could be right here. Because again, why? Well, because Gaza is just basically citizens, plain civilians that have been imprisoned for the last 20 years, 30 years, and have no real army. But Lebanon does have an army. But we're going to see what's going on. And like I said again, they have Iran on their side. And check out what Iran just showed, what they have developed. He's speaking Persian, or Farsi, right? So let's go ahead and just read. It says, for the first time, the IRGC, I think it's like Iranian Guard Command or something, launched a long-range missile from a warship, which they claim allows them to strike any target around the world. You hear that, Hakim? So these guys are looking to basically come up against Babylon. Okay, there's no reason why they make this ship and not expect to use it. Okay, continuing, the missiles traveled 750 kilometers in test launch before hitting a target in the Iranian desert. Through this new achievement, our range of influence and naval power have increased to any point required. So you see, the Persians here, now they're basically saying that they're going to be able to hit Israel if they need to. Because again, remember, these guys back Hezbollah. And if something happens to Hezbollah, and also what's happening to the Palestinians, Iran's already come out on their side. So again, these wars are just starting up, Akim. We're starting to see things get more heated as time goes on. But let's read this. It says, this is Ezekiel 28 and 21. Son of man, set thy face against Zidon and prophesy against it. And just so you understand where Sidon's at, when you go back to Tel Aviv, Sidon's like right here. When you go back to the map of Israel, let's click here. So this is the allotment of the land of Israel to the 12 tribes, right? So like, for example, here's for Issachar, and right here is Tyre, right? Well, if you go up, there's Sidon, okay? So basically this area here is all up until this river, right? That's where, if you look at, that's where the attacks have been happening. Or actually it's up here somewhere, right? This area here is where Israel is basically trying to take this land from these Ishmaelites up here in Lebanon, right? So that right there would be where this scripture is talking about. So let's continue. This is verse 22. And say, thus saith Yahweh, B'Shem Hashai, power, behold, I'm against thee, O Zidon, and I will be glorified in the midst of thee, And they shall know that I am Yahweh, B'Shem Yahshai, when I shall have executed judgment in her, and shall be sanctified in her. For I will send into her pestilence and blood on the streets, and the wound shall be judged in the midst of her by the sword upon her on every side. And they shall know that I am Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai, and there shall be no more a pricking briar unto the house of Israel, nor any grieving thorn of all that are round about them that despise them. And they shall know that I am Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai, power. Right, so see, that's the judgment that's coming to the Lebanese, right? These nations here, and basically, judgment's basically coming to everybody around the land of Israel. The Egyptians are going to get it. Jordanians, Syria's they're already getting bombed on both sides, from Amalek on this side, Amalek being the so-called Jews, and just Edom on this side, right? The U.S. is messing up the eastern side of Syria and basically stealing their oil fields. And then you got Lebanon, they're getting hit now. Okay, so right now the Lord is putting out judgment, and again, just like I've been saying these last couple of lessons, that the judgment is starting to go out to these nations, but this judgment is coming in the form of, the pestilence of war, death, and famine, right? It's going to start hitting up over here in Babylon the Great. Now, let's read this real quick, just to finish it off, to show you that all this is happening now, all the judgment, all the uprisings of the nations, but basically the destruction of the land there in the Middle East, right, or West Asia, or the Levant, that has to happen. Because why? Well, because the Lord is going to put us Israelites, the true Israelites, back in that land, right? And we're going to be governing the entire universe from that location, right? It says, this is verse 25, it says, Thus saith Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai, power, when I shall have gathered the house of Israel, right? The house of Israel, talking about the 1/3 of Israel, right? That's happening right now, literally, from the people amongst whom they are scattered, right? This is saying that in the end time, we're going to be scattered amongst all the people around the world. Hence why there's going to be Israelites that look like every different nation around the world. It says, and shall be sanctified in them in the sight of the heathen, meaning that these other heathen nations, right, they're going to start seeing that we're rising up and we're calling ourselves the Israelites, Hebrews, Jews, Issacharites, and so on and so on, right? They're going to step back and they're going to realize what's happening, right? And this is all going to be happening in the sight of these heathens. They're all going to see us start to wake up and come back to our spiritual understanding and our spiritual, prowess and our true heritage. And it says, then shall they dwell in their land that I have given to my servant Jacob. Jacob being our forefather, which name was changed to Israel, and hence this is why we're called the Israelites, because we descend from our forefather Jacob. Now, let's read this. Jeremiah 25:32. Thus saith Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai of hosts, behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation. So you see, this judgment is going out. And remember, the Lord uses these Edomites as his hammer, okay, to basically punish these other nations. And that's why we're going to start seeing a lot more attacks on these other nations. This is why there's so much money being dumped into Ukraine and Israel, because what that money is there is basically to build up Esau's fortresses or military in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Or in that area, basically. That's really what that money's for. And also to line their devilish pockets. But they're doing it all through the industrial military complex, these weapons and all these resources they need to wage World War III. Because why? Well, because it's on its way. This is Joel 3:2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead for them there, for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations, and parted my land. And that's what's happened, right? These devils have taken the land that belongs to us Israelites, right? The Lord's land, the land which was the land to the Lord's chosen people, the apple of his eyes. These people have taken it, divided it, and claimed it for themselves and are fighting over it. And again, this is prophecy that the heathens or that Jerusalem will be trampled down by the heathens until the time of the heathen be fulfilled. And that's what we are coming to the end of. The end of the time of the heathens, to be the last rulership upon the face of the earth before the second coming of the Messiah, which will bring forward this heaven upon earth kingdom, right? The kingdom of Yahushua, along with who are going to be reigning with him, the Israelites, okay? And this land is going to be used as the headquarters for this universal power. So, hopefully this video was edifying. Until next time, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Ruach Kodash. Shalom.